Hi, I'm Petter.
And I'm Lizzie, and welcome to Larp Lab. It's early on day 3 of Knutepunkt 2015 in Denmark, and things are really in full swing. Petter, can you talk to me a little bit about what you've been up to?
Well, I've been up to a lot of things, but I think what's like the grounding thing here was the like how they have set up the program this year, with keynote sessions with everyone. I know keynote sessions is not uncommon at conferences, but for Knutepunkt, this is a new thing to have everyone have some sort of shared items that everyone attends, which have been very well curated and super good speakers so far. So I'm really happy about that. I can just to name a few, the roles session with Erik Fatland, Torsettil, and Oliver and Josefin Westborg. Very clear examples of how roles are used, can be used, and what to think about. So yeah, super about that. Also Signe Hertel talking about rooms, super clear to the point. Good stuff. But the Knutepunkt this year, let's say, it's a lot about 32 countries, people coming from 32 countries, and
That's right.
also
Like 200 newcomers,
yeah,
maybe more even.
and like 580 participants, something. And
Yeah.
you know what? We have one of the newcomers here.
We do?
Yes. Welcome,
This is
Carl.
so exciting.
Thank you.
Carl, tell us where you're from.
I'm from Sweden. I live in Gothenburg right now.
What got you to Knutepunkt for the first time?
So many of my friends go here, so I just had to.
And tell me, what's the best thing you've seen so far?
It's more the things I've done than the things I've seen. I think it's made me very active, not just listening and looking at things. I've been to a lot of dancing and workshops,
What kind of workshops?
like how do we make a way of simulating drugs? How do we experience drugs, not how do we portray them? And dancing in different ways, and yes.
And what's the weirdest thing you've seen or done at Knutepunkt so far?
Oh, the weirdest thing. We made a workshop yesterday where we tried to make a group culture, and we like moved around in a group like an amoeba thing, and shouted and used nonverbal communication, and desk chairs and things. And yes, that was very odd.
What is your other, like, your impressions of coming here as a newcomer, and like it's a lot of people and
Lots of people. It's quite easy to speak to anyone almost, and uh, it's a bit spread out geographically, but it's easy anyway to just get around and get an overview.
made any new friends or possible friends?
Yes, I would say so. Yes.
Cool.
Righteous. Well, thank you, Carl, for stopping by.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What have you been up to?
Well, I went to Jaakko Stenros's awesome presentation of, I believe, his PhD thesis on play. And one of the things he talked about is when play becomes work. And I thought he had a very interesting definition of that.
Shoot.
So it's play if you like the doing of it, but it's work if you just want the end product. So like a report for work, would you rather make the report or just have the report poof into existence? Obviously the second thing, so it's work. And he was pointing out that we also work in games when your characters do boring stuff that you don't really want to do. And he was connecting that, I believe, to falling out of character sometimes. So I thought that was quite fascinating.
Yeah. I was also at this lecture, and I would actually want to hear more about it. Like, yeah. And
What about
Yeah.
the co-creative sessions? Because they're also a new thing
yeah,
this
so
year.
absolutely. So and there has been a lot of debate. Like there were the big Knutepunkt debate. I think this year was like, oh, the Danes are remaking the program and everything will be co-creative. As you can see here, everything is not co-creative sessions, but there are a lot. What I was really happy about ending up in, you could either have an idea, very concrete idea, and then then you get assigned to a room and you put up a session. But you can also like, I want to do a co-creative session, and then you sort of you go to a certain time slot, and you the process was you shot some ideas out of notes, and then you could stand next to them or someone else's note, and then you could form groups or yourself, and then you sort of started the process of preparing a program item, deciding if this was to be a discussion or more of a workshop or something you played. And the funny, not the funny, the really good part is here how well curated it was, because most items at Knutepunkt I attend is quite well prepared, but not all is. And here actually people are preparing for their item on location with the persons they're going to do it with. So you get suggestions on, okay, you're doing a workshop, maybe you want to do it like this and a brainstorm, and then you do this and then you evaluate, and then you get like a format, so you could like designate time or for your session. Okay, first who does this, then you do this, and then you do this, like just structuring it up a bit, and then talking it through with whoever you're doing it with. And like just those simple guidelines in a small like pamphlet that you get while doing it was really like, I was really surprised that they have like thought that stuff through in that way. So, and also like I think because it's a new thing, I don't think like I think many co-creative items maybe hasn't have that many people. I think some have been full sort of, but the ones that have ended up have had a really good time, and that's the same thing I did. We discussed like how to use video and video projections during the runtime of a Larp, and it was like we shot out many awesome ideas during that session. And like so I created one by chance, a bit to just test the system and see how it worked, and it was really fun with the outcome.
I held a designing race in Larp workshop with Torgettel, and we didn't come to a lot of conclusions, but a ton of sort of interesting ideas and methods were created.
Yeah,
so
but I feel also like conclusions was hard to make, even if it's 1 or 2 hours, because it's sort of like not writing something down that not everyone in the room agrees with. But that's not really like what matters most. What matters most is that we engage in discussion, and we do things. So I think I would say both the keynotes. I will claim that both the keynotes and the co-creative sessions has worked at this Knutepunkt.
And
I would claim.
I think it goes back to what Jaakko said, which is that it is the process of playing that's fun, and that's what's happening during the co-creation. It's not about the end product; it's about the process and being together and having fun.
Yeah, and you will hear more from Knutepunkt later. But for now, I'm Lizzie.
And I'm Petter. And this was LARP Lab.
Sure was.